Hello, Americans and people of the world. NATO, North American Trade Organization, all groupings of humanity have had the imposition of having had other communicators for America's founders and about the breaching method as a scientific value inside the communications of America's founders regarding the republic for which we stand and its abridgments originally and still, and that relevant to the relevant but forsaken reason why how there is an amendment that says we have rights that are too numerous to have to list them. But this breaching method showed originally and still the names of the people of the sciences as simultaneously as regular people at locations, areas, states, already having had the roles of humanity, human names A through Z against human names, all counters with that cause, all positives, collusions too, with a breaching method. For example, right where and how, for example, other things, others, or selves were forced. It's recorded they are forced to be blamed on that. Otherwise, that person's words are changed and faked. And how it is gotten away with is relative to predicate action database method that is consciously exploiting and having exploited the difference of it at database locations, at campuses, at the homes of anyone or next to them, or and it's always next to all parks, next to places, election places. The difference of the guilt there, where in other words, other things, others, ourselves are being blamed right where our founders communicated for us to blame the breaching method, like what it cost too. And while that is being forced, you guys are preventing us from demonstrating what nature actually communicates about the three natures of Native American founders before as the last, you know, native memory of human species names A through Z, the human species body of individual bodies A through Z. Everyone became abridged by the same method that had internationally monitored conversations and having been sustained with slavery and overt against everyone and distinctly against black, northern colonies and southern colonies, both northern and southern, and right through the Civil War that stayed, sickly distinctly but sickly non-distinctly. Both sides were forced to fight against slavery by America's founders, but also by a third of them having been forced to be founders. And they couldn't even explain that to them because our founders didn't have free speech. We have this declassified various ways, but we have roles with what they said, leaving out what's declassified and coupling that with uses of voice just because something is published. Also has collusion/s, where how they're changing and faking what people say online as digital and wire crime, mail crime methods, all kinds of natures of organized crimes associated with the people speaking and having spoken about laws, sickly distinctly, especially with mental health care. Like Hartford Hospital has roles with the Institute of Living. Not the real medicine and healthcare, but they're like right there. It's the use of the location worse though, or the names next to it with overt criminal enterprises, private ones, the family members of campuses running in as patients, even if all undercover, putting fake sides of issues. They're putting fake audio and video. 2 times they totally faked digital evidences, predicate acts, made things up to force me to a hospital to hide what I caught them doing it. The first time when I forced people to call the police without telling them why. And I told them I'm not going to stop till it happens. Then rather than communicate with me because they know I had them caught, like with a Kevin Dillon, and a whole bunch of people at Hartford Hospital's Institute of Living, like a Leahy family, and tied to a Leahy family. I'm learning more. They're leaking this by having fake conversations with me. And not just with me, it's recorded, demonstrable. They have judges and prosecutors involved with them, with more sick things as grown-ups and with kids' involvements and against kids than they put little kids in jail for. And the prisons, too, are with many ways worse roles at the same crime scenes where they have the same sequence shifts, the same predicate acts roles, federal evidence crimes, at the same time with the news, because they have roles with the same identity theft, fraud, slander method that the breaching method shows and showed them they need to hide. I don't know the people with the I don't know their names. But Central Connecticut State University, through administrations, they have roles with our borders, neighbors. Also through and semi-as the hyper foreign. But this is modern countries A through Z, suits and ties, counters and exceptions, and with that is syntactically valid. You know, in other words, otherwise that body is sensed. In other words, with its identity relativity to the suburbs, how the suburbs were designed before America's founders were born, for the torture, extortion, slavery method against everyone. And where there is a nature of debate about this is all kinds of collusions upon this concentrated. Where and how there is a, the suburbs are designed tactically in nature. So where are the cities, and why and how really is Hartford manifest as a suburban/urban city? In other words, you'd have to replaced what our founders communicated. And then they went and got the other founders counter-extorted and forced to make the presidents. But the breaching method read and understood, appreciated what our founders communicated before we did, even though we all learned it at the same time. And it's at countries A through Z too. There are proofs that their founders they have self-valued rules that right where they don't value it. Like just retirement positions. Both Tucker Carlson and Vladimir Putin from retirement positions, etc. They didn't even realize the extent of it or how it could be used. They couldn't fathom it. In other words, where they cut each other off about how there was a breaching method entrenched right through our country's founding and right through theirs. What caused the Civil War is that counter extortion that forced relative to the last third of our founders as Native Americans and as us being forced to get the republic for which we stand in its campus system and appreciating exception nature to make sure we're being led by the hyper invisible but still discernible itself, not systems that are tactically ulterior. Therefore, we're more and more incapable of affording syntactical appreciation by the details, by the finite or the order of the finite. Discern that in the root of the word, the definite article, DEFINITE, and the indefinite articles of English grammar. A and N are the indefinite articles. In other words, and this is this Trinity nature. Maxine, go ahead, thank you.